Welcome along to Obsession Engineering. The Tuono's back on the bench and we're doing fork seals in it, and I'm talking really fast because today we're doing a quick video. The reason we're doing a quick video today is basically we haven't got a lot of time before we take that to a circuit and go really fast with it. But I do need the fork seals doing on the Tuono because they are starting to leak. So Rob is already busying. He is taking off the mud guard and then the brake calipers, and then the front wheel will come out of it. And then he's already measured the standout, as in how much the forks stick up from the top yoke. Basically, then once the front wheel's out, he'll just undo the bolt clamps. We can get to the ones down there without taking all the cowling off, get to those ones, slide the forks out, and then we'll take them upstairs and show them who's boss. So I'm upstairs in the suspension area and I have the first fork leg. I've given it a bit of a clean off as well before I start, because the last thing you want to do is get your hands dirty working on it and transfer that dirt into the insides of the forks. So along with the fork leg, we're obviously going to need some seals and some oil. So I have some K-Tech oil seals, some K-Tech fork oil. This is just a good quality 5-weight fork oil, so whether you use a K-Tech or a Motul or, you know, just a good quality 5-weight fork oil, that's what you want. I've also got some dust seals because these forks are, you know, a few years old now, and so putting some dust seals in is always a sensible idea. Officially, these forks should have the oil and the seals changed at 24,900 miles, 40,000 kilometres. These have done about 22,000 now, but the seals are leaking, so they definitely need doing a little bit in advance. We have the special tool that basically goes in there and undoes the fork cap. We have a ratchet for driving it, a small Allen key, a 14mm socket on an extension bar, and a couple of spanners, and a notepad. So okay, we're doing this in a bit of a rush, but we still need to do everything in the right order. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually get a socket that fits, and then I'm just going to measure the preload off and measure the damping rates all the way in, and just basically find out what base settings I've got and write it all down. Rob is on cameraman duties so that I can do two things at once, and the first thing we need to do is take the preload off and measure it. So with the correct size socket, 1, 2, 9.5, call it 10. I think they're actually supposed to be 8, but we're not going to worry about that too much at the moment, so we'll write that down. Right, and then we're going to read the damping clicks. So basically with the damping you always wind it all the way in. So 1, 2, 3, 9, and this is the rebound, and I'm going to wind it back out to where it started. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we'll do the same with the compression, which is at the bottom. So Allen key in, 1, 2, 11 on compression. So when you wind it back all the way in, don't force it in because the needle's quite delicate. So we've just touched the bottom there, and then 0, the first click is always 0, 0, 1, 2, 11. Right, so we now know what settings the forks are on before we started, and that just means when we put it all back together we can make sure we're on the same settings. So now that we know the settings, we actually need to take them apart. So big tool on the fork top and not too tight. So try not to do that. It shows I should be paying attention. Right, and we'll wind that halfway out, and then we'll move into another vise. We're now in the low vise. Obviously at home you probably don't have a high and a low vise, and if you do you probably don't need me to tell you how to do some fork seals. So now we'll just put the 17mm socket on there, and we'll spin the top cap all the way off the thread and lower that down. Now these forks are particularly easily because, like the nut you can see in here, the hex, we can get to that straight away. So a lot of forks you have to put them in a spring compressor, push the spring down to like show you the nut, but Ohlins are very good and basically give us it nice and easy access. What I needed was a longer spanner so we got full engagement on the nut, but actually a plumber's adjustable spanner has long jaws, so it's quite good for this. But that is a quite tight top cap. Right, so that took a bit of force to undo. Buzz the top cap off and put that somewhere safe. So the next thing we need to do is undo that nut. So we'll just push down on the spring a little bit, and it's basically released the tension on the nut so I can wind it up. And Rob's giggling because I'm talking about releasing the tension on my nut. So I'm tickling my nut with my finger to get it off, and that is taking the tension off quite quickly, isn't it, Rob? Giggling there in the background like a child. Right, and then we can take basically the retainer off, the nut off, put them on the sink. We can take the spring out. We're going to drip a little bit of oil here and there, but it's not the end of the world. We're going to take the tube out of here, and this tube basically just the adjustments you make on the rebound and just from the top cap, that pushes the actual rebound needle in the shim stack into place. So if we look in there now, we've got oil down there, our damping tube, and obviously the inner and outer tubes. If you don't know the air gap, this is an excellent time to pop a ruler down there. Sorry, a rule. The king is a ruler. The thing you measure with is a rule. And you can measure your air gap, but we actually know this already. So we can now pour the oil away. So we're going to pour the oil into the sink, and look at the horrible state of that old oil. That is minging, is the correct term. So we'll put that out of the way. We're going to keep the rebound needle nice and safe, and we're just going to hang that up for a couple of minutes to drain. So most of the oil drained, now we need to separate the tubes, and these ones are particularly easy because these forks have the actual bushes that the two tubes slide in actually sort of pressed into the fork outer, so there is nothing to stop it all coming apart, which makes these forks really easy to service because you don't have to like pull the fork tubes apart and force the seals out with the bushes. Moving on to a tool that I'd forgotten to talk about, a screwdriver, a little pry, something, we need to get the dust seal off. So what we can do with these is we can either go in this side and shove the screwdriver that way. What we don't want to do is like lever it against the aluminium because you will mark it. But because we're not going to reuse the dust seals, we can get inside them in there and flick the dust seal out. And then there'll be a little circlip around the outside of there. So using yet another tool I forgot to talk about earlier, a little pick, we just need to get in here and flick the circlip out, which is apparently easier said than done today. Right, circlip out, and then we've got to lever the oil seal out. But obviously if we just do it straight against the aluminium, we're going to mark it. So we just want something, a bit of rubber or something to push onto here so that when we lever the seal out, we're not going to damage the tube. A well-used rubber. Stop giggling, Robert. There we go. Fork seal out. And we're just going to have a little clean up in here with some brake cleaner and a rag. Make sure the tube's nice and clean before we put the new seal in. Before I actually put the new seals on though, I am doing one extra step that isn't completely necessary, but is going to be practical. We're just going to take the compression adjuster out of the fork bottom because all the silt and dirt from the old seals and anything that's got past the seals and anything off the bushes will of course have all settled over time into the bottom of the fork. Now you can't take the cartridge out of the fork very easily on these because it's not screwed in from the bottom, it's actually trapped between the tube and the foot, and so we're definitely not doing that today. So what we are going to do is use the 17mm spanner. We're just going to take this out and we're going to basically use some brake cleaner to clean the shim stack on the bottom of here, and we'll wash out the bottom of the inside of the bottom of the fork leg. Because you see, it doesn't look too bad, there's no great big globules of oil or anything, but the oil that is there isn't exactly clean, so it's worth us just getting that and giving it a real clean off and cleaning all inside the fork bottom. In the bottom of the compression stack there is a hole there and a hole there, and basically that's just a bypass. And if I wind the compression adjuster in, that basically blocks off that bypass, so all of the oil has to go through the shim stack. So for the oil to go through the shim stack, it goes up those little holes up there and actually sort of flexes the shims out the way, but they're quite stiff, so that's where you get your damping from. When the fork is in rebound, the oil comes through these bigger holes and basically opens that non-return valve up and lets the oil flow quite freely. So as a bit of a demonstration, that's just come straight out and basically tried to nearly squirt in my face because it can't get through the compression bypass. If I open that up, if I do that again, it won't squirt in my face. And so that's gone straight through the bypass, so you're going to get less damping because there's less oil getting forced through the shim stack. So that's basically how that works. Wind that in, close the valve off, all the oil has to go through the shim stack, wind it open, more of the oil comes past the shim stack, and you get less damping. So softer or harder, hopefully explained relatively easily. It is always a good idea when you're taking forks apart to just work your adjusters in and out a little bit anyway, because they're not unknown for seizing up, and so any opportunity to just wind them in and out a little bit is going to help them. Because of the way these forks are built, what I could just do is put the dust seal and fork seal, oil seal and dust seal straight on the end of the tube, and then slide the tube down the inner. But there is a problem with that, is when you go over the end of this tube, it's quite easy to nick the fork seal. So I prefer to do it the other way round. So what I've done here is just put a plastic bag over the end of the fork tube, and that protects the seal a little bit, because if there's any sharp bits, it'll cut the plastic bag before it cuts the seal. So dust seal is on. We're going to get just a little smear of fresh fork oil and just smear the inside of the seal. You can use a little bit of grease. It just gives it a little bit of a helping hand sliding down the tube. So nice and carefully slide that on over the plastic bag. Take the plastic bag off, and then we'll have an undamaged seal sliding up and down the tube. And yes, I've forgotten the circlip, but luckily it does that. Rob has just asked me if I ever watched a lot of children's TV, because apparently I present like a children's TV presenter, but I'm doing it to adults, so somehow that makes me an adult entertainer. But apparently that's a different thing. And Rob is giggling away again. Right, now I need to slip my tube into its orifice. So we're just going to be nice and carefully into the bushes there. One of the most delicate operations for putting your forks together, putting your new seals in, is sliding the new seal into its hole. And we're going to use a very specific sized fork seal driver. You can get generic ones that are smaller and just do a bit of every size sort of thing. But what we're just going to do with that is give it a bit of a tap, and that is in far enough that I can see the O-ring groove in there, which means I can slide my, I say O-ring groove, my circlip groove. So then I can slide my circlip in, nice and carefully. That's it, I've heard it click, circlip is in place. In fact, what I'm going to do now is just relocate that. I'm just going to pump a little bit, and then I'm going to dry any excess oil off the leg before I put the dust seal in place. And then it's just a case of sliding the dust seal up. And that's it. New fork seal and new dust seal fitted. So now we need to put some oil in it and bleed it up. Spring, little rebound needle. And this is the needle that blocks the rebound bypass off. So obviously the spring could sit on the top, or it could sit that way. And it actually sits that way. And what that does then is it pushes the needle out of the hole against the adjuster. If you put it that way round, irrelevant of where you had the adjuster, it would always be trying to close the damping adjuster off, and we don't want that. So we can slide that down the hole, and I'm going to pop the tube in now. A generous filling of fork oil, relatively well up the tube, and then we're just going to move the outer tube a little bit, and that makes sure we've got like plenty of oil round by the seals. So with that done, now we need to pump our rod. On this one you can get to the rod relatively easily, so you can pump with just your fingers, but I have a rod extension which I find useful, and basically what we're doing now is we're ensuring that the damping tube is actually full of oil and devoid of air, so we have to keep pumping this until no more air bubbles appear in our oil, and so we've got a nice consistent draw of damping on our shaft. Right, so it turns out these forks actually bled up easier with the rod and the needle removed, so I've taken them back out and sort of bled it up a little bit easier, and now I've just given it a couple of minutes for all the air bubbles to get to the top of the oil, and so we're going to set our air gap using another tool I forgot to mention earlier. So this is set with this extension the correct air gap height, which is for these forks 95mm, which is quite a small air gap. Nice bit of gurgling. Put that in there because We don't want to be wasting the oil. Do it a second time just to be sure. And the air gap is always set with the springs and any spacers removed, because that's how you do it. I didn't make up the rules, I'm just telling you the rules. So with air gap set, spacer basically sits that way up with the spring on it. So we'll drop that in the hole. That's in there. And now is the time you particularly want your pull-up tool, because I can pull the tool up and I can actually hold on to my fork tube. So the next step is to put my spring retainer back on, which is slightly awkward to do and try and keep hold of everything. And then I've got to finger my nut back down the shaft. To make it a little bit easier, I can pull up that up with a rod, and basically what that does is tops out the top out spring in the damper, and just gives me easier access to my nut. And now I can refit my fork top. So I'm giving it a bit of a clean, we'll wind that down, and on these Ohlins ones it'll actually stop when it's down far enough. On a lot of forks you need to actually set the height of the nut against the top cap to get the correct amount of rebound adjusting clicks. It will be detailed in your workshop manual, and if you're not sure, I have got other videos that have covered more conventional forks, but we're not going to go into all the detail today. Slip the spanner back on there, and this will basically wind the nut back up to the fork top. A reasonable nip, because you don't want them coming apart. And then I can slide the tube up, and if I go backwards on the thread first, that will sort of locate the thread at the start of the tube, and I can wind that down. The final nip up I'll just have to do with the fork top tool, but I can wind it most of the way down using the preload adjuster. Fork top tool back on, and it's a bit of a nip. It seals on an O-ring, so you don't have to do that really tight. You just need it nipped enough so that when you're adjusting the preload it doesn't try and undo the fork top. So now we're going to put the settings back to how they were. So I'll start by winding the preload all the way off, and even though they actually had 9.5 turns on it, in the book it says 8 turns, and they are fairly firm, so I'm just going to go to 8 turns. So all the way off, 1, 2, 8. It's easier than doing it with a ratchet, because every time you do a quarter of a turn it's easy to lose count. And now we'll reset the click adjusters as well, so wind that all the way in. First click is 0, 1, 2, 3, 9 on there. Same thing on the compression adjuster, it's already wound in. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's it. Job done. We'll give this a bit of a wipe off, get it back in the bike. And with both forks now rebuilt, re-oiled, fresh seals, fresh dust seals, and a fairly good clean out inside, Rob is refitting them back in the bike. Right, quick one, torque settings. The top and bottom clamps, yokes, triple clamps, whatever you want to call them, they're all 25 Newton meters. The calipers, when they go on, are 50 Newton meters. The mudguard screws, don't worry about that, they're going into plastic, you're not going to do them that tight. The front spindle is 80 Newton meters, and the pinch bolts are 12. But on these, they've got a very small clamping area because they can't flex above this. And so if you overdo them, it's really easy to crack the fork bottoms. So 12 at the most, but be really careful with the fork bottom ones. And that is it. Forks are going back in. That's been a rapid fork seal change. And talking of rapid, enjoy the advert, and thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time for some more motorbike fun.